And with that, March is over and I am legally obligated to talk about 3D platformers. So let's get started with some new releases, and there's quite a few to talk about. So first of all, on the 5th of March, Pumuckl and the Crown of the Pirate King was released by Quantum Frog and THQ Nordic. There's not too much to say about this. I think this is based off of some German cartoon show. It's a licensed game. It looks good, you know. I don't need to play it, but if you're a completionist and want to play every single 3D platformer in existence, then, you know, give this one a shot. It doesn't have enough reviews for an aggregate, but the German reviews on Steam seem positive, so... 5 days later, on the 10th of March, Mario Day, we have Mr. Sleepy Man from Devin Santi and Monster Theater. This game blew me away, and it might end up being one of my favorites in a very long time. If you want to hear more in-detail thoughts, check out my review. I really expected this game to be good, but not, anything amazing. Just a, silly, funny game, but it turned out to be something unforgettable, and I genuinely believe this deserves a lot more attention than it's getting. It has 312 reviews on Steam, with an aggregate of very positive, but it deserves so many more reviews and so much more attention, because it has left such a lasting impression on me. Give this one a shot if you can. The very next day on the 11th, we have Kurno Lifts a Boulder by Alexander Golk. This one, I think, is a fan game of a Japanese property within the Toho project or something to do with that. I'm not really sure. It looks like a fun little collectathon platformer, and the reviews seem pretty good with 593 reviews with an overwhelmingly positive aggregate. Just 2 days later, we have Funny Raccoon Game by the Crayon Eating Company. This one seems to be one with a heavy emphasis on a sense of humor and causing chaos and throwing things and random mini games, and it seems really fun. I haven't tried it out, but it seems really good, and according to the reviews, it is. With 1,042 reviews, with an aggregate of overwhelmingly positive once again. Seems really chaotic and a very specific sense of humor, and if it aligns with yours, then give it a shot. Less than a week later, we have the game Fuse by the Fuse team. This one, you play as small origami characters that you can switch between. Overall, seems like a short, fun time, and for the price point of free, you can't really go wrong. It has 26 reviews and has an aggregate of positive. Again, it's free. You can try this with literally zero money, so... Just over a week later, we have Bomb Bun by Keiki Topo and Critical Bliss. And this is a game I've actually played a bit before in the Steam Next Fest demo, and I had a pretty good time with it. I really enjoyed its bomb mechanics, and people in the reviews mention that it's a lot like Bomberman, which I've never played, but if that's your thing, give this game a shot. It has 108 reviews on Steam with an aggregate of very positive. The very same day, we have another game called March into the Dimension by TGK, and this is actually a sequel to a 2D game called Marsh, where you play as a marshmallow. So as far as I can tell, this is the game just launching into early access, with the first chapter being available. There aren't enough reviews for an aggregate, but from what I can see, the game looks pretty good. The one review that I see mentions that it has very unique boss fights and the gameplay feels really fresh and the story is fantastic, and that it took them 3 hours to beat just the first chapter. So despite it just being early access in the first chapter, it seems like a sizable game for the price point. And that very same day, we have another 3D platformer coming out. That's right, we have 3 3D platformers coming out on the same day, making it the world's first 9D platformer day. Anyway, the game is called Ashguard Infinity Mask, and it seems to be a more combat focused game with a mix of a post-apocalyptic world with robots and everything and Norse mythology, and it looks fantastic, and it has gotten almost no attention, which again is so sad. Now this is another early access release, and you can kind of tell I haven't played it, but I played the demo and it runs very badly on my computer and on my Steam Deck. So if you don't have an amazing computer, then you might need to wait out for this one, but it looks really good. And from the 4 reviews that I can see, they seem to praise the game, with one review noting that there's a very difficult boss fight, but other than that, it all looks good. And finally, on March 31st, we have a semi-shadow drop in Super Meat Boy 3D. Now, I was not expecting this one to come out in March, but it made it just barely. And though there are no Steam reviews yet, the actual critic reviews all seem to praise how well the game transitions the series into 3D, with a lot of praise towards its level design and the pace of the game, where you respawn just mere seconds after you die. I played the demo a few months ago and had a fantastic time. I'm not surprised the game is as good as it seems to be. That was nearly 5 minutes of talking about releases that have come out this month, but let's talk about games that did not come out this month and talk about some classics. This month actually pretty light on classic news, which is okay. We've got 2 items, not very big. First up, we have Spyro Enter the Dragonfly Definitive Edition Update 1.2, and now this is a very hyper-specific piece of news, but this looks pretty interesting to me. I haven't played any of the PS2 Spyro game, but I know that the game has a lot of issues, especially technical issues, and this definitive edition, being developed by Mr. FO1 on YouTube, promises to fix hundreds of bugs, restore a bunch of unused and cut content, and even add some quality of life improvements. And I will always appreciate when fans do this, and this is probably actually going to end up being the definitive way to play the game. So up next is a bit of sad news, and it's the fact that Sanzaru, the team behind the Sly Collection and the 4 Sly Cooper game, had actually assembled a team to pitch a remaster or remake of the original Jak and Daxter. And the way they did this was by presenting a remake of the game's original cutscene, and Travis Howe from Sanzaru Games posted a little clip of it on his LinkedIn. And the sad part of all of this is, of course, we know how this turned out. There was no Jak and Daxter remake or remaster, and Sanzaru Games ended up being shut down by Facebook. So lots of sad news here, but it was nice seeing what a potential Jak and Daxter remake would look like. And remember though, this is a pitch, not necessarily what the final remake would have looked like. Now in March there was a bunch of games released, but not too many games announced. Let's talk about what was announced. Thanks to Organic Spugs for bringing this to my attention, we have Dracomar from Pitoon Studio and 3Cat, and this is an action-adventure 3D platformer that's more linear than, you know, one of those collectathon ones, and it looks pretty colorful. Looks like it has a, typical, save the world from evil story, but it looks pretty good, and there's a demo out, and I'm gonna give it a shot. Probably not gonna make a video about it, but I love me some linear 3D platformers. And that is pretty much it for new games. There really wasn't anything else, but here's a kind of, not really new game, but Playtonic, the people behind the ukulele games, they posted on their social media that they're prototyping currently with a Rextro co-op game. Now, this isn't necessarily a platformer, but I really enjoyed the Rextro minigames in Yooka-Replay, and I'm really happy to see that Playtonic is experimenting more with them. Now, I'm not sure about it being a 2-player game, and I'm not sure what that does to the game's sales, and Playtonic already seems to be struggling with money, so I'm not sure how good of an idea making the game exclusively multiplayer is, but I'm still really happy that they're exploring Rextro more, because it was such a fun part of a great game in Yooka-Replay, and I really hope we see more from Playtonic. It's been almost a decade since they've debuted, and there's only been 2 full proper new games, and I've loved all of them, but I'd love to see more. Now, though there weren't that many new announcements, there's actually some good updates here. First of all, the KamiQuest Kickstarter actually did really well and surpassed its goal, and it actually, as of the time of this recording, has raised $57,000 out of its $10,000 goal. So it seems to be doing really well. And if you don't remember, this is a really surreal 3D platformer, and it actually has a demo out, so if you want to give it a shot, there you go. And the game is definitely going to be coming out, and I'm really looking forward to more of these weird looking 3D platformers. Another game I'm really looking forward to is Motor Slice, and the developer behind the game announced that the game will be launching in spring 2026, so there's not too much longer to wait, and the game looks so good. I'm a huge fan of the Prince of Persia series, and this looks like that, but with a really unique sci-fi setting and with a unique main character. I am so into this, and I cannot wait for this to come out, and I'm glad we don't have to wait much longer. Another game with a really unique setting is Hypogea, and now this one came out months ago, but it just got a quality of life update, which allows you to choose between different visual styles like the modern look, a pixelated look, or a CRT filter. It allows for different save slots, and it fixes a bunch of different bugs. And again, this game is fantastic. I talked to the developer Charlie a few months ago, and he seems to have a great mind for this type of game. And the thing he's working on right now also looks really cool, so support the game, please. Now, among the wave of updates for games, we also have Demon Tides 1.1, which introduces a lot of new features, including a new game plus, where you can restart the story with all your outfits, dyes, and talismans. It's got a randomizer mode, a randomizer hex mode, and has a lot of different fixes for the gameplay. So this makes an already amazing game even better. If you're looking for any excuse to buy the game or to get back into the game, I feel like this is the perfect time to do that. And another great game that got an update was Big Hops, which added 2 hours of extra content with Kapler's Conspiracy, which is a photography-focused update to the game that again adds 2 hours where you can go around and take pictures of a lot of different things like aliens, ghosts, mole people, and a bunch of different things. It includes new camera filters, lenses, a new gadget, and a whole new character, the owl Kapler, fully voice acted, and is smoothly incorporated within the original game. So just like with Demon Tides, it's as good as ever of a time to play this game. I know I keep saying these games are fantastic and everything, but they're actually really good. Like, the games I'm praising, I really, really like, and I'm really happy how good of a year it's been for 3D platformers. And I feel like if you want to see this continue and are financially able to do so, support these games, because we can't complain about 3D platformers being dead when great ones are coming out, and I really feel like not enough people are playing them. How'd you like my 20-second pep talk? I hope it's enough to get you to want to play new platformers, and there's a few coming out in April that we can talk about a bit. Up first, we have A Rat's Quest: The Way Back Home Season 1 from the Dreamerians and Handy Games. This game looks pretty good. It looks like a story-focused game where you play as a young rat, not cooking or anything, but risking everything for love to reunite with Nat, a pet mouse. The thing I like about this, I say this, I think in every single one of these videos, I love playing as a small character in a human-sized world, and there's no better creature to do that with than with a rat. The game looks really good visually. I like that it has voice acting and cutscenes and all of that. It really looks like something that would have come out in the mid-2000s, and I'm not saying that as in it's trying to go for nostalgia. It just seems like something you don't really see much of these days, and I'm excited for it. It comes out very soon on April 3rd, so keep an eye out for this one if you like playing as a tiny rat. However, if you want to play as a cold-blooded animal, there's always the Gecko Gods from In Resin, Super Rare Originals, and Gamer Sky Games. It's a lot of studios. This game, as the title indicates, has you playing as a gecko going through an ancient civilization that's been lost to time, where you can basically scale walls, solve ancient puzzles. I love the game's art style, I love the vibes, and I think while people aren't talking about this game, I think it's going to be a sleeper hit. I'm going to try to give it a shot if I can, because it looks pretty unique. It comes out on April 16th. If, however, a gecko is still too warm-blooded for you, then we've got BoltBot Screwy Viruses coming out of Early Access, and this one is a level-based platformer, and the reviews for Early Access seem pretty good. It came out 3 years ago in 2023, and with this release it'll have a total of 48 levels, so that's a chunky game. Now, the one thing about this is the developer has disclosed that the game uses AI for the generation of its 2D elements, things such as character images, world logos, and billboard designs. Obviously, it's up to you to support the game, but just thought I'd put that out there. And that was March. What did you think about March? I think it was a really good month for platformers. I had a great time with Mr. Sleepy Man, and the updates to Big Hops and Demon Tides seem very substantial, and I might get back into those games. It really feels like a great time for the genre. So enjoy platforming, and I will see you in May, and hope time slows down a little bit. This year is going by way too fast. Please stop. See you next month.